here, welcome back to the Gear Obsession channel. In this episode, I wanted to discuss with you the standing shooting position of the AR-15. So hang in with me and we'll be right back. Caught me safety checking my weapon before the video, so that's good. Just want to reiterate, safety is always my primary thought here. Anyway, we're coming close to being able to get out and start shooting again. The weather is really improving, and before I got out there with my AR-15, I wanted to go over in my head different ways to improve my shooting, and basically the standing position with the AR-15 is something I wanted to improve upon. So I went on to the interweb, and I went on to YouTube also and looked for different videos on different ways to properly shoot the M16 or AR-15. I watched videos such as an old, not even a very old, maybe a 5 or 10-year-old Marine training video. I watched Air Force training video, Army videos, NSSF, survival podcasting, Jerry Micklick and Todd Jarrett styles. And I come to the conclusion there is not one style of shooting, and there's a lot of things that are very different between, I don't know, different years from different sources, and there just isn't one correct way to shoot the AR-15. So there are some things that remain the same across all different thoughts of and all different schools of training, and there are some things that are different. So I wanted to go ahead and just discuss things with you, and you can comment below and tell me what you think about it all. So hang in there, we'll start from the ground up. Before we get started really quick, I wanted to go over something. This is my DPMS AR-15A2 style. I built this. Basically, well, I bought the upper assembled, but I built the lower and added everything. This is a Black Hawk simple strap. Looks like this, universal, nothing special. The only thing that's really stands out about this rifle is it's all chromed out. So you can see that's all chrome and everything's chromed out. I wanted to make sure I got a good quality rifle here. However, I wanted to stick to the very classic lines of the A2. So there it is. So let's get started, like I said, from the ground up. Let's start with feet. Okay, the first thing that is consistent throughout all the different trainers and videos and everything is to have your legs shoulder length apart, about shoulder length apart. Now, as far as which way your feet are pointed, so it changes depending on whose school of thought you're thinking of. Like Jerry Mitnick says, have this guy pointed forward, this one at about a 45 out here. I've seen where, let's see, the survival podcast thing says to have this one at a 45, this one at a 90. But again, it's always shoulder length apart. Now I kind of like things pointing at the direction that I'm shooting, so I think I prefer having this foot out here, this one out here, shoulder length apart at somewhere around a 45. 45 it seems a little, I don't know, we'll see. One other thing that's agreed upon across all schools is to make sure your knees are bent. It helps to absorb recoil. Now you also want to be leaning a little bit forward, knees bent, and I'm going to point my feet in this kind of direction. So that's basically from the waist down. I also have my whole body at about a 45 from the line of sight to the target. So again, I have my feet the way they're supposed to, I have a slight lean forward, and the next thing you want to do is go ahead and lock in on the target. You're looking at the target, and you're standing up straight, leaning a little forward, and what you want to do is to bring the weapon up into the line of target, trying not to move anything really as much as possible. Now, with the AR-15, the way that the sights are, you're going to have to move your head a little bit to achieve a good cheek weld right there. You want to get your cheek on there, or stock weld. And I know that a lot of school of training and everything say don't crunch your head down and, you know, get a lot of muscles going here, because those are things that can influence your accuracy. So again, bring it up, achieve your cheek weld, and get your eye aligned with your aiming system, whatever you happen to have. Now, your standard way of aiming is with the peep sight and your front post sight. Now what you want to do is get the top of your front post, which is that, in the middle of that peephole, right in the middle, and then you want the top of that post to be right at your target. Now I'm not sure if I can, no, there's no way, but there's your peep sight right there. You can see the hole. So as you're looking through there, you want the front side post right in the middle. So again, you're going to, you know, get your proper stance and bring that gun up and achieve a good cheek weld, and get the front sight post in the middle of your peep sight and align with the target. Just bring it up. Now, this is the center of a lot of controversy, and that is the chicken wing. Back when I went through a lot of training when I was in the military, you always brought this up to almost a 90 degree, and the reason for that is you're creating a pocket in your shoulder for this to rest in. A nice pocket, because if you have it down, this could slip off. Now this is very important when you're talking about high power rounds, you know, 308, 30-06. You want a nice pocket in there, because if you get out here, you're going to end up getting bruised pretty bad. But this is not very much recoil. The you know, if you're shooting the 223 or 5.56, there's not much recoil to that round, and this also does a good job with the buffer to absorb most of the recoil. So you can get away with a lot. You can bring this up higher out of the pocket than you normally would with a regular higher power rifle, and you can bring your arm down a little bit. So generally, most shooters will have this down just enough so you can still have a pocket, and you want this up higher so you don't have to crunch your neck down as far to get good sight alignment. So you can bring it down. Now I personally cannot get this all the way down because I have no pocket at that point. I have to have it up, you know, this arm out a little bit. So that's basically this arm, the chicken wing. Next is the foregrip. There's many different school of thoughts or school of training for your foregrip. One way is to have your hand out with your thumb pointed, and you have your hand mostly underneath supporting, or you could have your index finger pointing and your hand wrapped around like this. And both of these are, as far as I can tell, correct. Now by having your arm out here, it helps you doing one particular thing very well, and that's moving from target to target. And you can stop really quick. If I have my hand all the way back here, you can see a slight bounce. I'm going to exaggerate it now. You sort of have a bounce like this because you have all that weight out here, and it's harder to get a lot of control. So by having your hand out here on the foregrip, if you're, let's say, engaging a lot of targets, close range, you could have your grip out here, and you can move back and forth and get on target very quickly. So why would anybody hold it up here? Well, if you're doing some sort of long distance shooting, it's easier to hold up there, steadier. When you have it out here, all that weight, your arm is all the way out here, you'll notice some movement, especially after holding it for a minute. So you bring your hand in here, and you could get your elbow sort of into your body a little bit. It helps support. It helps support it. You could hold it there longer. Go ahead and try it after you safety check your weapon, of course. But go ahead and try it. Now another thing is, I notice a lot of people might have a foregrip. Now again, with the foregrip, I find that it is not not a good idea to hold it like that for most cases. And Todd Jarrett sort of came out with an idea to use that foregrip as a way of indexing your hand in front and sort of holding it like this. Now they have sort of foregrips that are sort of like a 45-degree angle that you just sort of hold like this underneath your hand. So, but really what it comes down to, what's most comfortable for you. There's no one way, book correct way of doing it. It all depends on who's training, what year, what source, whatever. So, okay, so depending on your circumstance, depending on your weapon, depending on all these things, you determine, okay, I'm going to be shooting this way. Let's say I'm doing a long distance shot. Achieve that cheek weld, sight alignment, body's about at 45 feet, shoulder length apart, knees flexing, leaning a little forward, and you're getting ready to shoot. Your grip is your everyday grip. You index along to the side, and when you're ready to shoot, you're going to bring your finger in. Now you don't necessarily have to use the pad of your finger. I've seen most people just bring their finger all the way in. It's a very short distance, so it's really hard to just get your finger pad in, at least the AR-15. So you can put your whole finger in there, it's fine. So you're getting ready to shoot, and your adrenaline's going, and you're breathing, and this is going up and down as you're breathing. So what do? Well, you hold your breath. And where do you hold your breath? You hold it as you're, right after you're exhaling. You can hold your breath for a couple of seconds. So you, and on that exhale, and you're holding your breath, is the time to squeeze the trigger. Don't jerk it or anything like that. Just squeeze it back. Now you could do it two ways. You could have an uninterrupted squeeze of the trigger, straight back, nice and easy. Or you can go ahead and stage it where you could bring it back. You'll feel a little bit of added resistance depending on your trigger, of course. And then make sure you're on target, and then shoot. And pull it the rest of the way. Squeeze it the rest of the way. But breath control, a nice, easy trigger pull is the best way to do it. Now, let's say you're shooting and you're just having one of those days where you're a little shaky and you're sort of moving back and forth. One good way that you could sort of get around it is you could, as you're passing the target and you're coming back and you're about to pass the target and you're coming across, you could just shoot as your sight is passing the target. Sometimes I have to do that. I just have a little bit of motion in there. I can't, I'm having a kind of a little bit of a shaky day, so I'm just going to catch it as that front sight post just sort of passes the target. Just like that. So that's basically my take on properly shooting the AR-15. I know it's a lot to absorb and a lot of sources. I know it's going to get pretty controversial because everybody has their way of shooting this. So I have all these things, new things going through my head as I get ready to get out to the range here, hopefully in a couple of weeks, and enjoy some shooting as the weather gets better. Now, one other thing that I wanted to go over, which I don't see too much on YouTube at all, is a particular style of carrying your rifle. And when I did a lot of training, this was my favorite way of carrying it. Basically barrel down over the shoulder with a conventional strap. And you can really get it off your shoulder and in the shooting position really quickly from this. Also, by your barrel pointing down, you have less likelihood of dirt getting in there, and if it's raining, have rain going down your barrel. And I'm going to go ahead and bring my hand out here, or this out here. What you do is, you can, let's say this strap was really tight, you can bring your hand here to rip it off your shoulder, but since this is a little bit looser, I don't have to do that. So, keep my sight here with you. I could just sort of bring it up that quick, right off my shoulder. So that was sort of my preferred method of carrying it. Sort of get it out there and bring it up. Again, there's many different ways, many different techniques, preferences, things like that. So, wondering what you think. Keep it civil. Okay, this is one of those things that could end up like the 9mm and 45 and the M9 and the 45. I don't want to get into, you know, a big issue. Don't want to create any drama. Just wanted to discuss the proper standing position shooting the AR-15. Anyway, as of the day that I'm taping this, you can see all my Tony Stewart propaganda. It's the Daytona 500, so I hope when you're watching this video, if you're into NASCAR, that your driver won for you. And as far as I'm concerned, I hope Tony Stewart wins. Anyway, again, thank you very much for stopping by the Gear Obsession channel. Again, I appreciate every viewer, subscriber, and friend. Have a great day.